A monster producer is a legendary creature who combines multiple skill sets to dominate their market. Are you ready to dominate?
I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Sherman Hostetter Jr., and I'm the current EI Educational Institute Chairman. And on behalf of the NAA and the Educational Institute, we'd like to welcome everybody here. We really appreciate you taking the time and effort and the money out of your busy schedules to be here. I'm excited about this. I've heard tons of good things about Coach Burt, and my son and I are taking this as well. So we're going to be here the whole time with you. Again, we really appreciate it. We thank you from the NAA and the Educational Institute. The relationship we have with Coach Burt is fantastic. As you know, this is going to go on, I think, 6 months of things. So as we go, we're all going to be learning. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Coach.
All right. Thank you, Sherman. Good morning, everybody. Coach Michael Burt. I'm actually outside of Nashville, Tennessee today. I have this big lodge that I do a lot of coaching at that sits on 23 acres. And I grew up in a small town of Woodbury, Tennessee. Less than 2,500 people inside the city limits, less than 10,000 people inside the county. And it was in that small town that I learned how to connect to people. I learned how to care about people. I learned how to communicate. I learned that I wanted to be a coach. And when I was 15 years old, a Little League baseball coach picked up the phone and called me and said, will you help me coach my junior pro basketball team? I don't know anything about basketball. Will you help me coach that team? And thank goodness I said yes, because that opened the door to what I would be doing the next 28 years of my life. So I started coaching that junior pro basketball team, guys. I was so passionate. I got ejected from a junior pro basketball game. You ever seen anybody get thrown out of a junior pro basketball game? Because I didn't know, I had all this passion and energy and I didn't know how to control it. Okay. So I was turned on to something by somebody. And at 18, I became a head coach at a small elementary school. They paid me $199.50 for the year. Right. But I started to understand some things about selling. What I started to understand was that every day with your current customer was an interview for your next customer. Every day with your current client is an interview for your next client. And so I coached that basketball team like I was coaching in the NBA. And at 19 years old, I got a phone call. That's a referral. A referral is when great people tell other great people how great you were. How many of you believe you can build a great business like that? Right? Every day with your current client is an interview for your next client. That's one thing I remember. So I coached every day and took every day serious. And at 19, I get this phone call saying, man, I've heard about you. You're this young little whippersnapper that can flat out coach. Will you come down to this big high school and be one of my assistant coaches? And I asked what any good 19-year-old would ask, right? How much are you going to pay me to come down there? Because I'm already making $199.50, right? And he laughed at me and he said, kid, we're going to pay you $2,000. And I was like, $2,000? Man, I will be there tonight, right? And I 10 times my income. I 10x my income. I went from 200 to 2,000. And at 18 years old, I started studying a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey. And this is going to be very important to our coaching. And what I learned under Covey wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, principle-centered leadership, first things first. So at 18 years old, I'm studying. But what he really taught me was how to tap into the whole person. The body that represents skill, the mind that represents knowledge, the heart that represents drive, what we're going to call pray drive, PREYDRIVE, and the spirit, which represents confidence. If you are trying to grow your business, one of those 4 areas is where you have to go to work. More specific knowledge, right? More impeccable skill, higher pray drive and drive and passion, or more confidence. Okay. And I'm going to show you throughout the course of this how I took an auctioneer and tripled his business in less than 2 years by going to work on those 4 areas. Okay. So at 18 years old, I'm studying this guy named Covey, and I make up my mind. I'm going to teach every one of my players these 7 habits of highly effective people. Because if these are the habits of successful people, I'm going to teach my kids this. So imagine your 14-year-old daughter coming to play for me, and all the moms and dads said the same thing. Coach, my daughter's got a lot of what? What do you think they said she had a lot of? Anybody want to guess? Mike Fisher? What do you think they said? When they dropped their 14-year-old kid off to me, what do you think they said? My daughter's got a lot of what? You can unmute yourself, Mike. What do you think they said to me? There we go.
There we go. Well, I'm assuming if they brought them to you at 14, they're going to say they got a lot of drive.
That's right. They got a lot of potential. Every now and then they'd say issues. Okay. I got a 9-year-old daughter, and right now she's in punishment. So she has to wake up with me and work out with me at 5:30 in the morning as part of her punishment. I'm trying to teach her how to control her emotions. So every time she can't control her emotions, she has to do 20 push-ups, no matter where we are in the world. If we're in a restaurant, if we're out in public, and because I'm trying to teach her between what happens to her and her response to what happens to her is a space. And in that space lies her ability to choose her response. So when she gets in trouble, has a bad attitude, bad mouth, says something to her mom she shouldn't, I'm like, drop down, give me 20 right now. Right. And you're going to work out with me at 5:30 every morning. Now, here's the bad part. She's actually enjoying it. So it's turned out not to be punishment. It's kind of backfiring on me. She's like, Dad, I like getting up and working out with you. I'm like, well, dang, this is supposed to be punishment. Now, here's what they would say to me. Coach, my daughter's got a lot of potential. Potential is an idea of kinetic energy that is stored until utilized. It is the idea that of embryonic growth that will be better today than we were yesterday, will be better tomorrow than we were today. And many times they would say, my daughter just needs something. Gil, they would say, my daughter needs discipline, focus, accountability, structure. How many of you think business people need these things? I need more discipline. I need more accountability. I need more structure. And then they'd say, Coach, all she needs is a good coach. And I'd say, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your daughter to me. I said, we have a little greatness factory here, and we are manufacturing greatness. And over the next 4 years, when I'm done with your daughter, she's going to be a little stone cold killing machine. Cindy Fisher, you know what I could do with the kid over 4 years? With me coaching them every day, they turned out to be little stone cold killing machines. Okay. And because they were disciplined and they had high degrees of knowledge, high degrees of skill, high degrees of desire, high degrees of confidence. And I'd say, but Mom and Dad, I got a question to ask you. And you may not like it, but I got to ask you. And they'd say, Coach, you could ask me anything. And I'd say, is your daughter watching you reach your potential? And they would go, oh, I didn't know you're going to be coaching me, right? And I'd say, I would joke and say, I will run your little butt around the parking lot just like I run their butt around the parking lot. Here's the deal. Is it not hypocritical for us to tell our kids they have potential with them not watching us reach ours? Okay, right now I'm coaching an 81-year-old, two 77-year-olds, a 74-year-old, and a 71-year-old. They hired me to be their coach. 81, right? 79, 74, 71. And all of them are successful, by the way. One of them is managing $6 billion in Houston, Texas. Here's what they said to me, Coach, I got a lot more potential, man. I still got something in the tank. At 81 years old, a State Farm agent hired me the other day, said, I'm 81. I don't even hardly know how to turn the computer on. But if you will be my coach, I still got a few good swings in me. Okay. What I'm going to be helping you do, think of the auctioneer. His name is Jay Cash, who came to me 2 or 3 years ago. And he had some knowledge and some skill and some desire and some confidence. He was raised by an auctioneer. His dad was an auctioneer, right? And he came and got in my coaching program, and we began to teach him strategies and tactics and expand his mindset. He increased the average sale of his auctions. He increased his charity division. He tripled his business. And there's not a week that goes by that he don't call me and say, thank you for being my coach, man, because you changed everything in my life. What happened to him? He had more potential. With potential is something that's sitting there that has to be activated. Okay. So at 25 years old, we're winning a lot of games, and people are constantly asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing with those kids? How many of you have ever had a good coach in your life? Raise your hand if you've ever had a good coach. How many of you have ever had a bad coach? I bet everybody's had a bad coach, right? There are good coaches and bad coaches. And at 25 years old, people started asking me, what are you doing with the kids? And I said, man, I don't have time to explain it. So I'm going to start writing books about it. So at 25 years old, I sat down and I wrote my first book. I'm on book number 17 now. And I wrote my first book, and something happened to me that I never expected. Business people began to call me, and they began to call me and say, will you come speak to our people, motivate our people? The word motivate means to move. And so I would go out and speak. And I remember going out to speak to Dell Computers. Remember, I'm 25 years old, guys. I'm a high school basketball coach. Eric Walker, I'm making $24,000 a year. I'm working 80 hours a week, every week, 8 hours a day on Sunday, every single week to build this championship culture. And then I go over there and speak at Dell Computers, and I got finished, and they said, man, will you come back? Our people loved it. We need a coach. And this was in the early 2000s. I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm coaching kids. I love these kids. Love these kids. And I got to win a championship. And they said, will you come back? I said, I'm not trying to be rude, but I love coaching kids, and I need to go back and coach the kids, man. Thank you for inviting me. And Sherman, then they said, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Okay. Then they reached in their pocket and pulled out a check and they handed me a check. And I said, well, what is this? And they said, well, this is a check for you coaching our people today. And I said, oh, you're going to pay me to coach your people? And I opened up that check and it was more in an hour than I made in a month. I want you to think about that. And you know what I said then? I said, surely somebody else will come along and love them kids as much as I did. I know somebody will love them kids as much as I do. Okay. Now, the true story is I stayed 6 more years, built a national championship program. The school went on to win 7 of 9 championships. And then I retired at 31 years old to coach business people. Guess the first people. I retired in 08. Guess what was happening in 08, folks? How many of you guys were in real estate in 08? Raise your hand. Okay. So I retired from athletic coaching. I'm now on book number 4. And guess who begins to hire me? Real estate agents, home builders, mortgage companies, anybody who was trying to sell something in the real estate world. And here's what they said. We don't know what to do. We've hit a roadblock. We don't know. We've tried everything. Home builders they were used to selling 40 homes a year. We're selling 40 homes a month. We're selling 4 a month. And they were confused. So I got in here. So in 08, I started coaching in the middle of the recession, some key groups that you would all know: real estate companies, mortgage companies, banks, financial services, insurance, anything that touches what I call the American dream of home ownership. And I began to study the best people in the world. What do they do? How do they sell? How do they prospect? How do they follow up? How do they close people? And then over the next 13 years, I began developing systems and processes and structures. And my goal is to help you move from A, where you are currently, to B. Okay. So to start our coaching over the next 6 months, the very first thing we got to decide is, what is your B? B has to be a tangible outcome you're trying to drive in a 12-month cycle. Okay. It has to be a tangible outcome. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Okay. All right. It has to be a tangible outcome. Okay. So it cannot be intangible. It has to be a number. It has to be something we can measure. Okay. This is very important, because if you're going to get serious about driving something big, we have to be able to measure and track it, and it imprints something in the subconscious mind. Okay. For example, if I want to do $6 million of production in my coaching business, that means I have to sell $500,000 of coaching every 30 days. That means I need to sell $125,000 of coaching every week. It means I need to sell $25,000 of coaching every day on a 5-day work week. Does everybody see that? So my B is very clear. I want 1,000 people in my coaching program, a monster producer. I want to do 6 million in my coaching business. I want to write a best-selling book on book number 17, and I want to open at least 3 greatness factories in the year of 2021. These are unique places I'm building around the country. Now, see how clear I am in my B. Does everybody see that? When I wake up every day, every action I take is moving me closer to my desired outcome. Okay. And I want to teach you that there's a difference between a high value of your time and a low value of your time. A low value of your time, Jason Winter, is when you wake up and participate in activities that have nothing to do with moving you closer to your B. Okay. High value activities are money generating activities. How many auctions have you done for people? How many of you have followed up with those people? How many of you have built associations and relationships with those people that would do more? Now, here's the concept. I'm going to teach you strategies on how to follow up with people to stay at the top of their mind. So when they think about doing an auction, the only person they think about is you. They don't think about anybody else. See, what I've tried to do with Jay Cash is position him as a person of interest. Meaning I'm trying to position him as a person that everybody knows and knows he's an expert. So I've got him doing a number of things every day that position him and help him stand out from the audience. He's younger than most of the auctioneers. He doesn't have the same experiences as some of the auctioneers have. So what I've tried to do is teach him how to become known, famous, renowned in a market. So when people think about an auction, they only think about him. Okay. That has a lot to do with branding and marketing and positioning, but it also has a lot to do with follow-up. staying in people's faces, rhythm, frequency. Okay. Now, does anybody have a question about what their B is? Is everybody clear on what their B is? Do you have it written down? I want you to start thinking about this B every day. When you wake up in the morning, every day when you participate in activities, I want you to simply ask yourself a simple question. Is this going to move me closer to my B or not? Okay. Now my B is a tangible number. So every day when I have time in my office, I have very specific time where I do nothing but focus on new money. And that's typically 9 to 11:30 every day. So every day I'm calling on new money every single day. Every day from 9 to 11:30, I'm working new people every day. I'm trying to close people, right? I'm trying to call on new people. I'm trying to work strategic partnerships. Any activity I can do that will produce new money happens from 9 to 11:30 every morning. Then I break for lunch. Then in the afternoon, I engage with all of my current people, everybody I've already sold something to. How do I get referrals? How do I get new partnerships? How do we produce new deals? So I prospect in the morning and I solve the world's problems in the afternoon. I prospect in the morning and I solve the world's problem. You say, well, who should I be prospecting? Strategic partnerships. Anybody that would lead to a potential new money for you is a high value activity. Most people spend their whole day doing low value activity. Okay. They participate all day in low value activities and then they never grow their business. Okay. So 31 years old, I start coaching business people and I start going, here's the problems. There's 6 problems business people have. Okay. And I want you to write these 6 problems down because today we're going to be tackling problem 1. And over the next 6 months, these are the 6 things I'm going to be coaching you on. Number 1, they do not know how to activate and reactivate their prey drive. Preydrive. And I'll be explaining that in just a second. Prey drive is an instinct. An animal has a prey drive. I believe humans have a prey drive. Most people do not know how to activate it or reactivate it. I'm going to show you how to activate yours every day by 8 a.m. Okay. Number 2, people do not know how to explain their services in a world-class way. And we're going to call that the explanation of service. The EOS. Number 3, most people do not have a prospecting system. So they have a lot of confusion every day. Randomness in motion. Number 4, people do not follow up appropriately. Okay. And I wrote a book on this called $1 Million Follow-Up. There is more money lost by poor follow-up than you can imagine, folks. I'm going to show you how to follow up before, during, and after a sale. Number 5, people do not know how to extract referrals out of their current clients. Every real estate stat in America shows me that let's just take residential homes for example. The average person is going to buy 4 to 7 homes over the course of their lifetime. Okay, each of those homes should be worth 5.7 referrals over the lifetime of the consumer. Most people never follow up after the transaction is over. The word transact means to discard. I used you, you did an auction for me, you did a good job, but there's no follow-up afterward. Folks, you don't want to do it 1 time, you want to do it 6 times. Remember what I told you when I was a little basketball coach, Sherman? Every day at my current job was an interview for what? My next job. Just remember this. You don't need more money. You need more people. The people have the money. Okay. But if you don't follow up with people, it don't matter. Okay. Somebody asked, Joe Lanier asked, what was number 3? Number 3 was a selling system, a prospecting system. Okay. Number 5 is referrals. How do we extract more business out of our current business? And then in month number 6, I'm going to teach you how to be a person of interest, how to become known. I bet every one of you know somebody in your market that is the auctioneer, the go-to person, the number 1 player. I'm going to teach you how to be the number 1 player so people are calling you, you're not calling them. Fair enough? Now, over the 6 months, this is what I'm going to be coaching you on, this system. So today we're going to talk about prey drive, okay? And I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Okay, and we're going to be talking about the activation of prey drive. Okay, now when you think about prey drive, I'm going to tell you where this concept came from. I was sitting in a workshop with a former Vietnam veteran who was in the war dog division of the Vietnam War. His job every morning in Vietnam was to go ahead of the infantry with an animal, with a dog, and sniff out bombs, booby traps, ambushes. Any day you think you're having a bad day, I want you to think about it, somebody waking up in the middle of a jungle. who, if he steps in the wrong direction, steps on a bomb, a booby trap, that was his job. Imagine the psychology. Imagine what you had to tell yourself every day. And he kept talking about the dog having a prey drive. Preydrive. So I'm sitting there thinking, prey drive. I'm like, man, this concept. So I look it up. Prey drive is a dog's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. A cheetah has a prey drive. A lion has a prey drive. How many of you have a little dog that you say that little dog would never hurt anybody? How many of you have a little dog, that sweet little dog, right? You tell everybody, man, here's the deal. If that dog's prey drive is activated, you would not want to be alone in the room with that dog, because the dog's prey drive is activated. Now, I'm sitting in that workshop and I have a revelation. The revelation is that humans have a prey drive. And that's what I've been doing for the last 28 years, which is activating the prey drive in a human. Most people have not had their prey drive activated. Okay, we're going to do a little poll in just a second. So this is the book I'm writing right now. It's called Flip the Switch, How to Activate the Prey Drive in You and Your Team. Prey drive is an instinctual ability of a human to see something and have the intensity to pursue it, the persistence and the intensity to pursue it. Prospecting 2 hours a day takes persistence. Following up with 7 to 15 touches takes a persistence and intensity. Attacking your bee takes an intensity and a persistence. See, I'm a basketball coach, folks. I had a game every Tuesday night and every Friday night. There's always something to work toward. There's always a persistence. There's always an intensity. Then I started coaching business people and I'm like, man, there is no intensity. There is no persistence. Like what are we missing here, right? The best people in the world. So I want you to think of prey drive as there's 3 components to this drive. Number 1, the prey drive has to be activated. A good coach will activate your prey drive. When I get done coaching you every day, I want you to say, I'm making that phone call. I'm following up with that person. I'm closing that deal. I'm going to go work the system 2 hours, right? I need to activate. There's 5 activators, and I'm going to show you what they are today. Number 2, there has to be a persistence to this. Amateurs listen to their feelings. Professionals do not listen to their feelings. Okay? You got to make a decision. And I like to say it this way. At some point in everyone's life, we make a decision to leave our amateur desires behind. And we make a decision to go pro. We go pro in the body, in the mind, in the heart, and in the spirit. Those are the 4 parts of our nature. We go pro in our knowledge, in our skill, in our desire, and in our confidence. Okay? Long obedience in the same direction is persistence. Nobody wakes up and wants to prospect every day, including me, by the way. I love coaching people. I hate prospecting, but I don't have anybody to coach if I don't prospect, right? When they told me about National Association of Auctioneers, how do we do this? I said, I'm in, man. What do I have to do? We need to put together a proposal. Okay. I didn't say I'll do it tomorrow or next week. I said, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to put it together right now and I'm going to send it to them right now. Okay. There's an intensity to attack something. Okay. So I want to take a second right here and I want to ask you to type in, where do you think you fall off the wagon when it comes to pursuing your bee? Is it activation of prey drive? Remember, prey drive is an instinct to take an action, right? It's an instinct to see something, to pursue it. So this morning on my way in, it's like, you need to call this person. You need to call this person. You need to call this person. Then it's like, okay, boom, let's call them. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Let's call them right now. So out of the 3, I want you to type in where you fall off the wagon. Is it activation of your prey drive? Is it persistence of your prey drive? Is it intensity of your prey drive? Okay, so what I like seeing is, see, this gives us feedback here. Okay, so I got couple activations, a lot of persistence. Okay, what's interesting, I'm not seeing as much intensity. There's one. Okay. Now, let me tell you why this is critical. Let's just take intensity, for example. How many of you have a deal right now or X number of deals in the pipeline that need to be closed? Raise your hand. So let's look at Newton's law. An object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. You can sit and wait on that deal to happen, or you could pick up that phone and call and say, hey, Gil, seems like you want to do this, man, right? We're not sales flirting anymore. I'm interested in helping you, but I can't help you till you commit, right? Once you commit, I'm not going to let you fail. Let me make a case on why you need to do this at auction. Okay. Now here's my point. Intensity is I have a target and I'm not going to sit and wait on this to happen. I'm going to create. The worst thing they can do is say no. The worst thing they can do is say I'm not interested. The worst thing they can do is say I'm going with somebody else. The worst thing they can do. So when I have a target, okay, I'm going to attack that target. So let me give you one example. Every day I start off with really three lists of people. One, I have a hit list of people I'm calling on to produce new money. That hit list comes from current clients, past clients, strategic partners, or direct leads. So I sit down at night and I map out the next day. Here's 4 groups of people I'm calling on. I'm calling on Jacqueline. I'm calling Bridget. I'm calling Cindy. And you say, well, how do you do this? This is simple, man. I called Jay Cash one day and said, look, I love coaching you, man. And if I love coaching you, I bet I love coaching some of your auctioneer buddies, because like gravitate toward like. Now, how do you introduce me to more auctioneers? That's a simple phone call. Mike Fisher, you see how I did that? And you know what he said? Hey, let's do a webinar. And let me put you on a webinar with some auctioneers. I'm like, I'm in. Now, what that did, Michelle, is that moved me from one-to-one to one-to-many. See, you don't need more money, you need more people. The people have the money. So when I said, can you introduce me to more people? He said, sure, I can get you on an auctioneer deal with 30 or 40 more people. And I'm like, let's do it. That is a hit list phone call. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now, the second group I'm calling on every day is what I call my farm club. And my farm club represents people who have indicated interest in doing something with me, but they have not taken action. Okay. Now let's just play a game here. Justin, why do you think that a person doesn't take action on moving forward with an auction?
Probably haven't been contacted about one.
Okay. That's right. Number one, they don't know, right? The reason people don't take action is they don't even know. Until I started working with an auctioneer, I didn't even really know the benefits of an auctioneer. I didn't really even know the benefits of an auction, right? Do everybody understand that? Like when he explained, so I just said to him one day, explain to me why I should, because I own all these properties around the country. I'm like, explain to me why I should auction any of these when I want to sell it versus just sell it through a traditional real estate agent. And he's like, okay, I'm glad you asked. There's 3 reasons why you do this versus this. See, a lot of times people don't move forward because they don't even know what they don't even know. They don't even know the benefits. So one reason people don't move forward is because they don't have enough information. Okay. Now, Willie Baker, are you sitting on some people right now that are thinking about doing an auction with you?
We're always sitting on people thinking about doing an auction.
Okay. All right. Now,
Just getting them to activate is the next thing, and it's persistence.
So I want you to remember this. Okay. Most sales statistics, and I wrote a book on this called $1 Million Follow-Up, tell me that it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert somebody who's interested in something to somebody who's doing something. Everybody see that? Okay. Now, if Willie says, man, I got 7 people right now or 100 people that are interested in doing something with me, I have a name for that. I call that my farm club. My farm club are people I'm going back 7 to 15 touches with. Right? Now, Nathaniel, you've been in some of my coaching before, right? Okay. I'd never forget a face like that, Nathaniel. That's because, right? Now, here's my point, and that's a compliment. Okay. Now, here's what I'm saying. If Nathaniel is interested in my coaching, but he's out in the world doing his thing, like going on about life, if I don't come back in his life 7 to 15 touches and show him the value of my coaching and follow up with him and overcome his objections and get over his fear, he may never pull the trigger. Yes or no? So if you don't have a good 7 to 15 touch system yet, this is a missing structure in your business. Okay. Because an object at rest stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. You have to become that force. Okay. So part of the persistence is, man, I got a farm club every day. And what I'm doing is I'm trying different tactics and different strategies. I use video text, voice text, email, phone call. Like I'm working different angles to get a person to take action. I'm not just calling. I'm using every strategy. Okay. So I have a farm club every day. Third thing I've got every day is called a red zone. Now, I don't know if we got some football people on here, but I did an event with Hugh Freeze, and Hugh Freeze and I did a retreat together, and he was the head coach at Ole Miss. And Hugh Freeze was famous because he scored more points on Nick Saban at Alabama than any other college football coach in America. He actually beat Alabama 3 times when he was the head coach at Ole Miss, which was unheard of. And I asked Hugh Freeze, what are you really good at? What's your number one thing you're good at? And here's what he said: red zone conversions. And I said, oh, that's it. He said, when we get in that 20-yard line, we always score touchdowns, coach. And if you said, what are you better at than anybody? And I thought here's what I said. That's a great sales term. How many of you have people that are very close to making a decision with you right now? And they're sitting right there, right? Sam Kelly said, I got a person. Bridget, do you have a person that's sitting there close right now that's interested? Okay. Ruth Lynn, do you have a person that's real close? Okay. If you did, then we call that the red zone. So when you come into the day, the red zone are people who are closest to making a decision. But they're going to sit there because they don't have enough information. Don't forget this, or they're afraid of something. Fear is an unpleasant emotion created by a belief that something's going to harm me. So when you're trying to sell me on, let's say you wanted to sell this lodge at auction. Okay. I bought this lodge for 1.3 million. I got a steal on this lodge. I got 23 acres, 8,000 square foot lodge. And Harold, let's say I decide to sell this for some reason. And let's say that, man, you come along and you go, hey, instead of selling it, I think you should auction it off, coach. Why would you tell me, why would you tell me I should auction it versus sell it through the traditional cycle, Harold?
Well, because there's so many people today that are looking for a way to get out of the big city and get by themselves, that there's, who knows how many people would be truly interested in it. So we want to give them an opportunity to all compete at the same time for the privilege of buying your lodge.
Okay. So what if I tell you, look, I'm interested in selling it. I don't know how I'm going to sell it. I don't know what I want to sell it for yet. But I'm interested. I'd be open to the auction versus selling it traditionally. Your job in the follow-up is to convince me that the number one thing for me is to auction it versus sell it. That's your job. Now, if you don't follow up with me, if I put that out to the universe that I'm going to be selling this lodge and you don't call me and you don't engage with me and you don't follow up with me and you don't sell me on why I should do that, then that's on you, not on me. Everybody see that? Okay. So the red zone are people who've said, I'm close, man. I need to make a decision, but I need to get across the finish line. Okay. So after today, at night, I want you to sit down and I want you to map out 3 groups of people before you come into the day every day. We're going to have a hit list, and the hit list represents what? Sarah, I'm calling on you. What does the hit list represent?
The hit lists are current ask clients and direct leads.
Okay. The hit list, that's exactly right, represents anything that will produce new money. Okay. How many of you are sitting down at night mapping out your days the next day right now? Okay, good. So from now on, okay, now you're being coached by this little pit bull, Coach Burt. Okay. And big time people never come into the day without a plan. So I sit down every night and I map out my next day. Who's on my hit list? Who's got the money? Number 2, who's in my farm club? Farm club represents what, Mike Fisher?
Farm club represents those people that need to be touched 7 to 15 times to convert them to a client.
That's exactly right. They have indicated some interest in your service, but they have not taken an action with you. Okay. Does everybody see the value where we're going to pick up some money in these 7 to 15 touches? Okay. Now I'm going to teach you the follow-up in session 4. So don't panic on that. I'm going to teach you exactly the follow-up. Okay. Now, red zone, Sam Kelly, what's the red zone represent?
Red zone is where we want to make the conversion. So it's the red zone conversion. They're close to making decisions, but they haven't done it yet. Maybe they're afraid or they've got, a fear, and we want to make sure that we convert them to being ready.
There you go. Now, my number 1 close of all time should go in the closing Hall of Fame. It's, man, I can't help you till you commit, but once you commit, I'm not going to let you fail. Okay. I can't help you till you commit to something, man. We've talked about it. I've made my case on why I think you need to auction it. I can show you the proof of what we can do for you. I can give you examples of other people that are incredibly satisfied with what we did, but I can't help you till you commit to something. Once you commit, I'm not going to let you fail, man. I'm a pro at this. Everybody with me? If you're not using that line, shame on you. I call people and I say, Patrick, it seems like you want to do this. It sounds like what I've talked about is perfect for you. Feels like I got the right plan for you, man, but you're stuck on one thing. And I tell them what I think they're stuck on. I'm like, I think you're stuck on this. And I let them tell me I'm wrong, right? I have a real direct conversation. Patrick, have you noticed how hard I've worked to earn your business, man? Man, I've showed you how we can do it. I can't help you till you commit. Seems like you want to do this, but you're stuck on one thing. Am I right about that? And then they go, no, that's not it, coach. It's actually this. Good. Now that I know what the problem is, I can attack that problem. Most people, okay, most people, I know y'all have not just figured this out. A lot of adults lie. Okay. They don't tell you the truth. They tell you what you want to hear. Well, I'm thinking about it. Look, I can't help you to commit on this. I believe we lose 10% of momentum every day we don't take action. Okay. Now, the faster we get this thing up, the faster we get this puppy sold, the faster you're going to be happy. Right. And that is what you want, 100% happiness. Right. So what I do is I have certain things I say when people are in the red zone, and I have no fear of rejection. Okay. I lost every bit of my confidence at 25 years old. I was clinically depressed for 6 months. Okay. My own mother, who's a nurse, said, you got to go see a doctor. I couldn't get out of bed. I was so depressed. Okay. During that period of time, I overcame a fear of rejection. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I have absolutely no fear of calling another person and asking for anything. All they can do is tell me they don't want to do it. Right. So it doesn't matter to me if they say yes or no. I can't help them till they commit. I've made up my mind. It's to their benefit. How many of you have made up your mind it's to their benefit to take action with you? Right. It's to their benefit to take action. If you believe that, then why would you be scared to call a person today and say, hey, man, let's do this? I know you want to do it. We're losing momentum. We're losing momentum. Okay. Have you ever been on the wrong side of momentum? So these are some techniques from today I want you to start using. We never come into the day without those 3 lists: hit list, farm club, and red zone. Everybody with me? Okay. Now let's get into the activators of prey drive, because what I'm really trying to do when I'm coaching you is I'm trying to flip a switch in your life. I'm trying to activate something in you. These are the activators of prey drive. Okay. I'm a coach, so I like drawing things. All right. I want you to be thinking as I break these down, what does it for you? It doesn't matter how well you explain your service or how well you follow up if you don't have the prey drive to go get it every day. If you're stuck, bored, complacent, in a rut, you don't have any outbound effort, you've lost all of your prey drive. Your needs are met. Satisfied needs never motivate, only unsatisfied needs. So if you're comfortable, if you're complacent, it's because all of your needs are met. You need a new need. You need a new want. Okay. So here are 5 activators of prey drive. And then when I'm finished, I'm going to have you type in what you think is your primary activator. Number 1 is fear of loss. This is activated when you are afraid of losing something: money, power, status, prestige, or current lifestyle. Okay. This is actually my number 1 activator of my prey drive. Okay. I've worked hard for 28 years to build a good life. I do not want to lose it. I wake up. So you say, what does that mean, Tom Jordan? I have some principles I live by. I go to bed tired and I wake up hungry. It all goes to 0 at midnight. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. See, because I come from the coaching world, I never get complacent. Our tendency as humans is to get comfortable, is to get complacent. Well, the way I don't allow myself to get complacent is I combine 1 and 2 together. Is number 1, I wake up with a little bit of fear of losing this 8,000 square foot lodge, fear of losing the life I've built, fear of losing the things I've done. Right? I want to keep it. So it's fear of losing activates my prey drive. Sometimes it's fear of losing, man. I want to be the real deal. Then I combine that with competition, right? You need a fight to win, a game to play, a trophy to go get. And sometimes it's a trophy in your mind, folks. You should want to be the number 1 auctioneer on planet Earth. You should not want to be number 47 or 57 or number 1,000 out of 2,000. You should want to be number 1, right? You need a competition. You need a game to play. You get bored when you don't have a game. The number 1 real estate agent in South Carolina hired me in 2010. And he met me one time and said, I want you to come to South Carolina once a month to coach me. And I said, why are you hiring me? He said, because I'm bored. I'm making 1.7 million a year. I'm doing 125 deals a year in a town of 7,000. I'm kicking everybody's butt and I'm bored out of my mind. So I want you to come have dinner with me. We're going to play pitch and catch. And then the next day, I want you to coach my team. What I tried to get back was his prey drive. We moved him 50 deals in 1 year, by the way. He went from 125 to 175, folks. That's a significant jump in 1 year. Why? I got his competitive spirit back. I said, man, you don't have a game to play. You've already beat everybody. You're playing too small, man. You don't want to be number one in Clemson, South Carolina. You want to be number one on planet Earth. Quit comparing yourself to other agents in Clemson. You're kicking everybody's butt in Clemson. Let's start talking about the whole state of South Carolina. Let's start talking about the whole Southwest. Let's start talking about United States. Let's start talking about planet Earth. And I challenged him. And he's like, you're right, man. I want to be number one in the world. I'm like, okay, good. We need to get your prey drive back, man. You lost it. Everything was on autopilot with that dude. Okay. Number 3, exposure. Part of this coaching program is exposure. I've been studying the greats, Bezos, Elon Musk, Jobs, to write this book I'm writing. Almost every one of them, their prey drive was activated because of something they read or something they saw. Elon Musk grew up reading comic books, and what he saw the people in the comic books do was save the world. This is a dude that now is building Tesla, putting people on the moon. You know, he's doing all kinds of crazy things. And he said it all started by really reading comic books about superheroes. And it kind of said, man, when I grow up, I want to do things that change the whole world. I don't just want to make $1. He took every dollar he made at PayPal, 181 million, and put it into Tesla. He bet everything he had on that new business, man. That takes a lot of guts, folks, to take everything you got and put it into a concept that may not work. Now, what is he? Number 2 in the world, richest person in the world behind Bezos. Bezos, right, had something called the regret minimization framework. When Bezos was at D.E. Shaw, he was making a lot of money. He saw the trend, 2,300% on internet. He said, I'm going to leave my comfort and I'm going to go across the country and start this company called Amazon. Okay. And he said, I'm going to build what's called a regret minimization framework. He said, if I was sitting here at 80 years old, would I have a regret if I don't go do this? And the answer is yes. And when he said yes, he said, I'm out. I'm going to start this company. He only owns 16% of Amazon. He's worth $180 billion. That's 16%. Now, here's my point. The dude got exposed to something new. That's exposure. It activates the prey drive. The next one is environment. If you have a team of people, this is what I try to create. An environment where there's expectation. We are playing at our best. We are professionals. We show up, we grow up, we deliver. Okay? And there is a huge difference between amateurs and professionals. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop on this one for a second and tell you a story. I have this lodge, and I'm doing country music nights at this lodge. So I'm having major country music artists at my lodge once a quarter that you would typically see in big arenas. So I had Randy Houser here a few weeks ago. And imagine a concert with a major artist that you typically see in a stadium at a lodge with 140 people. It's the most incredible thing ever. And when Hauser came in that day to sing, he came in at 3:00 to do sound check, and they had everything set up for him. And he said, hand me the guitar. And they handed him the guitar, and he maybe for 10 minutes messed around with the guitar, said a few things, like sang just a little bit. And then he said, Coach, I'll see you back at 9:00 tonight. And he went upstairs and went to sleep. Okay. At 9:00, they sent a little flashlight. His manager put a little flashlight on, says he's ready. He walked down the steps. They handed him that guitar, and he just, for 2 hours straight, just boom. It almost he was so powerful, it almost knocked people out of the back of the lodge, folks. And what I told people is, I said, this is what a professional looks like, man, is when you are a pro, you show up and you're so good, other people can't help but go, this is crazy, man. Watching this guy sing that close is crazy. He was sweating like crazy. And you saw how hard he worked and how much fun he had because he was such a pro. Now, here's my point. If you're a pro, you got to start treating yourself like a pro. What do you tell yourself in the morning? What environment have you created for you? See, I want to activate my prey drive by 8 a.m. That means I fed my mind, my body, my heart, my spirit by 8 a.m. When I show up at my office, it's game time, folks. We're not playing around. We're not goofing off. We're not wasting time. We got a long way to go, and we got a short time to get there. Our goals are so big. We ain't got time to talk about drama. What happened this weekend? What happens next weekend? What happened? Why this person's mad? Why this one's sick? Folks, it's game time. When we're at work and we're focused and we're working the system. Okay. And that's environment. And then finally, the last activator of prey drive is prey drive is embarrassment. Now, I don't use embarrassment. The way I use embarrassment as a coach is I ask people what they want to do. Okay. Would anybody like to volunteer their B to me? Anybody like to tell me what their B is? Okay. Nobody? Willie Baker, what's your B? You seem like a confident dude.
Well, I'm still thinking on it. If you really want me to be honest with you,
If I
trying to narrow that down.
If I pinned you down and
mine's competition.
Say again.
Mine is competition.
All right. Now let me ask you a question. What are you trying to do, Scott? If we were sitting here 2021, December 31st of 2021, and you told me, man, you totally knocked it out of the park this year in your auction business, what would you tell me? What would be the number that you got to hit for you to say that?
20 million.
Okay. 20 million. So that's your B. All right. Now, once you tell me that, okay, and when I'm coaching people, I remember that. And what I do when I'm coaching a person is I go back to them and I say, now, remember when you told me you wanted to do 20 million? Help me to understand why you're getting off track. Help me to understand why you're getting sidetracked. Help me to understand why you're getting distracted. Okay. I do a lot of work with Tim Grover. Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal strength coach for 15 years. And I asked him a simple question. Did Jordan ever lose his confidence? And he said, him or Kobe Bryant or Dwayne Wade never lost their confidence, but they did get distracted. Okay. Many people don't lose their confidence. What they do is they get distracted. So I got a guy on my team. This is how I use embarrassment. He told me when he came to work for me, he said, Coach, I want to make 100,000 plus a year. I got 3 kids and I got a new wife. I said, okay, good. So you can make more than 100,000 selling for me. And then he got distracted, counting issues, got off track, worried about majoring in the minors. And I walked over to his desk one day and I said, I got a question for you. I said, remember when you told me you wanted to make 100,000 a year for your wife and those kids that you love? I said, yeah. I said, how are you going to justify to your wife when you go home tonight that you're doing everything you can to hit that number? And then I just turned around and walked back to my desk and I didn't say another word. You know what that did for that dude? He sold $500,000 worth of coaching the next month. It really pissed him off. Number one, that I said that to him. And number two, it activated a drive in him. He said, man, I was embarrassed that you come over and said that to me. He said, it actually embarrassed me, Coach, because I knew I was so much better than that. He tells that story to people all over the world because he says, man, that's the number one thing Coach Burt could have said to me to help me hit my numbers. How are you going to justify to your wife that you're doing everything you can to hit those numbers while you're focused on all this other stuff? Man, you're distracted. You're distracted. Focus on what you got to do every day, which is produce new money. Now, let's stop there. And I want you guys to type in what you think your primary activator is. Okay, I'll put it back up here for you. This is very important because you need to know what flips your switch. Okay, so those are the 5 activators: fear of loss, competition, exposure, environment, embarrassment. Okay, now let's just see what we got here. How many of you think you know what your primary activator is? And let's put that in there. And you probably have, sometimes you have 2. Okay, so let's just look what we got. Good. Environment, competition. Got a lot of competition. Fear of loss. Good. These are good, man. So if you're telling me competition, you need a game to win. You need a fight to be in. You need some type of, right? You need some type of challenge. Embarrassment. That's good. Okay. Fear of loss. Good. Now, I'm going to close it out by saying this. How many of you believe that big time people know how to activate and reactivate that drive, even if they don't have an external factor? How many of y'all believe that? Okay. I'm a high D on a disc profile. And one of the characteristics of a high D is we're frustrated. We wake up frustrated in the morning. And my daughter's a high D, you know, and I knew that when she was real young. Wake up in the morning, she just yelled, "Juice! Give me some juice, mama." And my wife is a high S, high C. And my wife would say, "Gosh, what's wrong with her?" I'm like, "There ain't nothing wrong with her. She's a high D, man. She's intense. She's like her daddy. She wakes up in the morning and she's frustrated. I wake up in the morning frustrated. But how many of y'all believe that frustration drives me to take action? It pushes me. I need a game, right? Tillman Fertitta, the billionaire that owns all those restaurants, says business is just sport to me. That's all it is. I grew up playing sports. Business is just sport. And every day I'm trying to win, right? You need to find your primary activator if you want to build a world-class auction business. And you need to be able to activate and reactivate your drive every day. And because what happens when it's not activated, you operate like this. You got very little intensity, very little persistence. Your business goes up and down and up and down and up and down. What I want to do is show you how every day, man, once we get this prey drive activated and you learn how to activate it, you're going to be on offense versus defense. Now, we had this great basketball coach, and I'll close on this and take any questions, named Kevin O'Neill at the University of Tennessee. He was a defensive machine, right? He was one of the greatest defensive minds in the world. And he would hold teams in the SEC to 50 points. Teams that typically, how did he hold Kentucky to 50 points back when they were great? Here's the problem. He could only score 47. So he would hold everybody else to 50 and he'd score 47. And I'm like, the dude's going to get fired, man, because he can't win any basketball games because he don't understand offense. Okay. Business is about offense, not defense. It is about pushing and exerting and taking action every day. And you're going to pick up X number of auctions by having more force and energy. Okay. And that's really what today's session was about, activating and reactivating that prey drive. Now, next month, we're going to cover a 6-step framework in how you explain your services. This is very important. Most people do a terrible job of explaining their value. You have something incredibly valuable, man. I got to show you how to explain it. This way you win out over other people. Okay. So what questions do you have from today? Yes, sir. Scott, go ahead.
Real quick.
You mentioned 4 things before 8 o'clock: feed, mind, body, spirit, and I missed the 4th.
Yep. Great things. Body, mind, heart, spirit. So the way I activate my prey drive is this. I'm a faith-based person. And so I typically listen to a 20-minute sermon every morning. When I first get up, I do something physical with my body. I like boxing. That's my primary thing. So I've kind of set up a whole thing for me to box at my house. And then I see my family, my wife and kids. I have 2 kids and a wife. I see them. And then I listen to something on business when I'm getting ready in the morning. So what I do is I feed all 4 parts of my nature by 8 a.m. I wake up just like you. Listen, I woke up dragging this morning. I was doing coaching events till 10 o'clock last night. I woke up dragging and I got to activate my prey drive, man. So what do? I get up, I listen to the sermon, I go work out, I see my family, I listen to something on business. And by 8 a.m., it's like, all right, folks, I got these auctioneers to coach today. I got to get my A game on, right? I wake up just like you do, but I know how to flip the switch to turn it on versus just say, oh, man, I'm tired today. See, most people get up and they go, oh, I got a headache. I don't feel good. I was up late last night. Then their whole day's over. I don't have the luxury of doing it, man. I'm a pro. And so I've taught myself how not to listen to my feelings. That makes sense. If you go see a big artist perform, they don't want to sing every night. I've got lots of friends in Nashville that are artists. I got one guy that plays down in Nashville, like on Broadway, 10 to 2, 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 2. I'm like, man, do you enjoy doing that? He's like, oh man, it's like, it's fun, but miserable, you know, a bunch of drunk people rolling in there every night. And he's like, man, I love singing, but after I've sang the same songs over and over and over, he's like, man, I got to get my mind ready to do it. So my point is, if you've been in this business for a long time, it's easy to get bored. It's easy to lose your prey drive. You probably had prey drive at some point, a very high amount of prey drive. And what happened is you got comfortable. Because you got comfortable, you've got a little complacent. Because you got complacent, man, you don't have that fire like you used to have when you had something to prove to the world, right? And part of my coaching is reactivating that drive. Okay. So that's how I do it, Scott. Good question. Yes, sir, Joe.
Hit on exposure for me on the prey drive.
Exposure. Yeah. Exposure is when, okay, so think about this. Exposure is when you see something and it activates your mind to want to do something bigger. For example, you're in a coaching program now, so I'm exposing you to new tactics and new strategies. You're reading books, you're listening to podcasts. I grew up in a small town. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee every year on vacation because we were poor, and we stayed in the same Best Western because it had an indoor swimming pool. I never saw a nice hotel. I never got on an airplane. So you can imagine when I started going to big cities, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Chicago, Nashville. I mean, it opened my eyes to like, oh my gosh, this is a big world. Okay. Because I grew up in a small town. I actually wrote a book called Small Towns and Big Dreams, only to find out that a lot of people in small towns didn't have big dreams. So we can't even sell that book to anybody. I actually gave it away to a bunch of schools. Now, here's my point. I thought everybody in small towns should have a big dream, man. After I went out and had a big dream, but not everybody does have a big dream. You know why? Because they're not exposed to something. I got a cousin, and my mom told me the other day, it's like, your cousin's got so much potential, but they're down there doing this. And I'm like, Mama, they've never been exposed to anything. They've never been out of this small town. They've never seen anything big. They've never been around anything bigger than this. How would they even know that they have potential? Right? Like my mom is 60 years old now. She's coming to my workshops because she's got dreams. And I'm like, look, you're 60, but you got big dreams. It's time for you to start doing something about those dreams. Right? I'm trying to pursue my own mother to go pursue her dreams. And like, I could see her sitting in my workshop like, oh, that's good. Like, it's like, I need to hear that. Right? And I'm her son. But I'm like, you got to think bigger, Mama. You're playing too small. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse her whole life, but she's got dreams of doing different things. I'm like, you got to think bigger. You need more exposure to things. So I'm trying to get her out there. So that's a good question. Any other questions?
Can you touch on environment a little bit more, constructing that, kind of world around yourself that kind of points you towards success naturally?
So I want you to think about, as a coach, what I try to do for the people in my company is create an environment where their prey drive is activated. So by 7:00 on Sunday night, every person on my team turns into me, their hit list for the week, their farm club. And it's not a big brother thing. I don't want to babysit people. It is literally a high accountability piece. So like big time people think about what they're going to do before they get there. So my whole team turns that in by 7. We meet at 8:30 every morning. And the whole purpose of that meeting is reactivating their prey drive. Then from 9 to 11, we move into a cycle of nothing but new money. Then after that, we solve the world's problems and deal with our current clients. And I'm in a rhythm. So what I'm trying to do is create an environment. At 4:30 every day, everybody text message back in what they did that day to hit their goals and targets. And what I'm trying to do is get them in a high prey drive environment that has competition, fear of loss, exposure, right? Now, if you're out there on your own, Jay Cash, this auctioneer, is out there on his own. He's like, man, I need to be involved with you. I need to be around an environment. I need to be involved in something that pushes me and challenges me. And so if you're out there on your own, you got to plug into something where there's energy. See, power is a means or source for supplying energy. That's all power is. You got to plug into something that challenges you, especially if you're out there on your own. So environment for you may be, I work best when I'm in this environment. I work best at home. I work best when I get up and get dressed and go to an office. I work best when I'm around other people. I'm creative when I'm at this lodge, but I have an office in downtown Nashville that's up on the 22nd floor overlooking Nashville. And when I'm in that environment, man, my mind's thinking big because I can see all of Nashville and the energy and the music. And so there's certain environments I'm very creative in, like here at this lodge. Then there's certain environments it's like, man, I want to go do something big in the world because I'm seeing a bigger future. Okay, good questions. Anything else? Now, here's what I want to go ahead. Go ahead, Patrick.
Can you tell us about the boot camp real quick?
Yeah. All right. So if you can see, I'll just show you what we got here so you can see this. The reason I bought this lodge, I built out this big training room at this lodge, a 54-person training facility. And the lodge sits on 23 acres. It's 8,000 square foot. It's absolutely gorgeous. And what I do is every month I do X number of boot camps at this lodge, which are typically 2-day boot camps that are 9 to 4 each day. You come in, it's in Christiana, Tennessee, which is about 35 minutes from the Nashville airport if you're flying. Okay. And you come in here and other people from around the country come in and I break down the concepts in a more boot camp setting. So what I mean by boot camp is it's me and 30 or 40 or 50 people, and I'm taking this whole system and I'm breaking this whole system down in a 2-day environment. And that's what you have access to as a result of being in this program. Now I do those quarterly. So I do the monster growth system, which is I think the one you guys got, or flip the switch. Is that I'm doing flip the switch tomorrow and the next day. People come from all over the country and spend 2 days with me. And it's basically 2 intense days of me coaching you where you're learning the whole system. Make sense? And they're really incredible. People walk out of here. So people come to Nashville, and like I said, they're about the lodge is about 35 minutes from Nashville, and people come in and I spend 2 days. I get to see you face to face. And it will change. It will change everything for you. I promise you. Okay. Any more questions today?
Mike,
leave us with the podcast.
Mike, I got a question.
Go ahead.
I'm having a hard time coming up with my B.
Yeah. If you and I were sitting here, Harold, on December 31st of this year, and you looked at me and you said, man, this was an incredible year. We did X in our auction business. What would that be? Would it be a number of auctions? Would it be a revenue number?
No. I think it would be a team motivation factor.
Okay. But it has to be tangible and measurable. So I want you to really see the brain, we'll get into the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is basically programmed to attack something when it's very clear in what it is it's going after. When it's vague, it doesn't respond well. Okay. So when I say like, I want 1,000 people in my coaching program, I think I'm at 710 right now. When I want to do 6 million in my coaching business, when I want to do right, like the best-selling book is kind of an intangible, but it's tangible. You got to sell X number of copies to have a best-selling book, and I want 3 greatness factories. See how clear I am in my B? It's tangible. It's measurable. I can wake up every day and say, where am I in relationship to my number? How many monster producers do we have? Well, we got 710. Okay, I got to pick up, 290 more. Break that down into how many months do I have left? How many am I getting every day? Right? Like the B has to be tangible and measurable. It cannot be qualitative, meaning, I want my team to be more motivated. You may want them to be more motivated. Motivated to do what? Motivated to hit this number, motivated to achieve this goal. That's where I want you thinking.
I'll try to get there.
Thank you. All right, Joe, you had one more thing. Did you have a question about podcasts or anything?
Yeah, you mentioned listening to podcasts. Give us a podcast series or what you like.
Well, if you like, listen to the coaching we have, then I have podcasts called America's Coach. And if you go to America's Coach, I've got 3 or 4 podcasts, right? I've got one called Super Coach, one called Person of Interest, where I interview famous people, one called Flip the Switch. Those are 3 podcasts. I have certain people I listen to personally that I like, that I resonate with. Right now, I'm in this series of studying real successful people because I'm writing this book. So it may be an autobiography or documentary that I listen to in the morning to study somebody real successful. And it's typically 20 minutes. Sometimes I can do that while I'm boxing. So I'm boxing and listening to it at the same time. Okay. Now, I'll finish with this. This is a 6-month program. You have access to a 2-day boot camp. If you're unclear about anything, I want you to simply email info@coachburt.com. info@coachburt.com. And I have customer service teams. I see all those emails. So if you are unclear, if you don't have your boot camp picked yet when you're coming, then we can help you. Okay. And here's the thing. The coaching will not work if you don't show up, folks. Okay. So all I'm asking you is that once a month, you give me 45 minutes to an hour, and I promise you I can help move the needle. You come to the boot camp, right? You also have access to my Monday coaching calls that are 30-minute coaching calls every Monday. Okay. And those are at 4:30 Central Standard Time. I do typically 30 minutes every Monday. And I break down these concepts. This month I'm covering closing, conversion, how to close people. So if you don't understand how to do that, we'll make sure that Christina has the link. She gets the same link every single week. We'll make sure you have that link. Okay. And because that's additional coaching you get. So you get the monthly session with me, you get the 2-day boot camp with me, and you get the Monday calls with me. And in 6 months, we should see a lift in your business if you're doing what we're teaching you to do. Fair enough? Okay. And all I ask is you just show up ready to go, man. I'll give you my best effort every day. I promise. Okay. All right. This has been good. You guys good? Thank you for being focused. Thank you for signing up for the coaching. I'm excited about it. I'm honored to be your coach. So we're going to have a great 6 months together. If you need anything else from me or anything, just email me info@coachburt.com. I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day. God bless you.
Yeah,
Thank you.